everyone. Welcome back to Talk Story with me, Gaven Sugai. I'm here with one of the mayor candidates, Choon James. Choon, thank you for joining us here on the show.
Hey, aloha. It's an honor and a privilege. I support anyone who does free speech and free press. So you're at the top of my list.
I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate that we have this opportunity to share your heart with the community. And there's not a lot of episodes. I want to kind of shout this out, but there's not a lot of episodes where it's just the candidate and the interviewer. A lot of it is debates. So this is great. This is great for the people.
Right, right.
All right, June. So first question, why do you want to become mayor?
Yeah. The funny thing is that I never ever thought that I would want to become mayor, or did I plan for it? You know how some people, yeah, they plan and they feel like, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that, and step one, step two, step three type of a thing,
Mm-hmm.
And then the bottom line is that I have been involved in the city council at City Hall for decades. We were with the Keep the Country group. We were trying to save Oahu farmlands. We were trying to keep public lands in public hands, and have food security and all those important issues. Because we live in a small island,
Mm-hmm.
and our little island is in the middle of nowhere, and we import 90% of our food, And of course, one of the major concerns that is now becoming bigger and bigger major concern is the Honolulu Rail. I mean, I have just seen it escalate. In 2006, it was at 2.7 billion. And today, 2020, is at 9.3 billion, and it's still going up and not completed. And in the meanwhile, our people are suffering. Our people are trying to put food on the table. Many of them have been working, 2 to 3 jobs, right? And then even our senior folks, they have to delay their retirement because they just have to work just to survive, right? And how many of you have your registration fees go up? Right?
Mine definitely did.
Oh, yeah. No, everything is going up. And you know what's interesting is that in 2012, the federal government actually had a report called the Porter Report. And that report actually said that, okay, Honolulu can afford the rail, but it is at the expense of the core services. I mean, that's kind of a weird report. I mean, if I were giving a report, I would say, hey, you guys cannot afford it, But so here now, today, 2020, so many of the fees and property taxes have gone up. In fact, the mayor just a few years ago set up a new property tax category called the Residential A. And that is where local landlords, and including other landlords, but our local landlords now have to pay triple the property tax, right? Okay, but if you do it by logical, deduction, if you're going to pile on property taxes so quickly, triple, guess who is going to suffer? It's the tenants, right? It's the tenants. And so we have many cases where the landlord has had good relationship with the tenants. They have been landlord-tenant for a long time. They have not increased their rents. And now that the city is piling all these higher taxes on them, guess what? The poor tenants have to pay. And it's not like everybody's salary is increasing like crazy either, right? So the Honolulu Rail has put a very big impact. In fact, now the city is thinking of what they call a storm water fee. and essentially what they're doing is that the rain that falls on your roof and goes into the storm rain, they want to charge you for it too.
Mm.
And we're going, come on, okay, it's a good idea to take care of the environment, but you just cannot keep piling fees after fees and increasing taxes and still think that our people can survive, right? And of course, one of the main reasons that why I'm running is that, for too long, there is an oligarchy in Hawaii. And this oligarchy is controlling the money, controlling the land, controlling the power, controlling the decision making, and controlling the opportunities, at the expense of our local residents. And so I've grown older and I've grown more impatient. And I've actually asked a few of my fellow activists to run, but they were not in a position to run. Because we realized that we need to occupy the seat. We need to be inside. Because for decades, we have been outside, we've been fighting, we've been talking ourselves blue in the face. We can protest, we can sign petitions, we can do everything that a super citizen would do, right? But at the very end, when the vote comes, it is so frustrating because the vote goes to the developers who donated to them, or the vote does not represent the mainstream population. So that's one of the reasons why I'm running. A long answer, but that's one of the reasons.
Awesome. Thank you, Choon. Next question. So you've lived here for about 40 years
Yeah,
after coming from Singapore when you were 17, right? 17 years old.
right, right.
Tell us that experience from leaving Singapore and then coming here and what it means to live here in Hawaii today.
Right. I actually come from Singapore, where I was actually from a family of 10. My father actually had 3 wives. So I was number two wife, and I was number 7 child of the second wife. And so all the commotion, all the 3 wives fighting and quarreling, all this, I kind of miss a lot of that because I was the 7th child, right? People get old and they lose energy fighting, I think. So I came here when I was 17. I have always been interested in public affairs. We have always been, even in Singapore, we're always talking about world affairs and public affairs. So when I came here as a student, I was so excited that we could say our piece and not be thrown to jail. Because Singapore is a very strict country. Obviously they don't share the same US Constitution about free speech and free press, right? So when I came here, I was happy. I felt like a free bird, and I did a lot of things that I enjoy doing. I joined the Amnesty International. I helped with groups, even though when I was in Singapore, I was with the Girl Guides, or like the version of the Girl Scouts, And we used to go help in care homes and children's home. And then on Saturdays as students, we would just go, everybody have a tin can, and we would go collecting donations to help with childhood illness or TB or whatever on Saturdays. We'll pair up, they'll let us pair up when we'll go. So in that way, we've always been involved. But when I came here, I certainly was able to do way more. I realized, hey, I can speak my mind, right? But I'm also very careful that when I speak or when I write, that I only document and make sure that they're facts, they're facts, and so that it's fair to everyone. Hawaii is such a beautiful place. Were you born here?
Yes, my whole
Yeah,
life I've been here.
Hawaii is such a beautiful place, and I'm so grateful that the people of Hawaii just welcome us with open arms. My husband is actually from Washington, D.C., Boston, Massachusetts area, but he speaks Hawaiian, Tahitian, and
Mm.
French. And he learned Hawaiian from our neighbors. I mean, the Hawaiian kupuna would just tell him, okay, come, I'm going to talk to you. And they just taught him, and he's a quick learner.
Mhm.
So, and I love the lifestyle. I love the goodness of the people. People is open, and just the sharing. And I would say today I would call it aloha aina. Just that everybody was generous and everybody shared, what they have. So yeah, and so beautiful, right? One fiscal difference would be that Singapore is a concrete jungle,
Mm.
right? Well, in Oahu, we still have a lot of open spaces, and yeah, downtown Honolulu is becoming a concrete jungle. But we're also grateful that there's still a lot of green and open space, and that's where we are. We're out in the country. I chose to live in the country because I love that part of Oahu.
Mm. Awesome. All right, next question. So you've been a part of the real estate sector for over 30 years. How will that experience help you in to become mayor?
Right, that's a good question. Some of the candidates have come out and say that they have been in business and this and that, and so they should be able to have the ability uh, to manage the city. But somehow I feel that there's almost like a discrepancy. If you are a man, you can say that and people like eat it up. But for us women, I feel like we have to walk a longer distance to convince them that, hey, we can do it. We can do it just as well. And I certainly feel as confident, if not more confident, than any of the candidates, because I have been going to the city council meetings for decades. And we have been bird dogging, especially the budget process for at least 12 years. Um, One of my good friends who is there more than me actually, because she lives in East Honolulu, so it's easier for her to get to City Hall. Her name is Natalie Iwasa. She's a CPA and she's also a CFE, and that's a
Mm.
certified fraud examiner. Now, certified fraud examiner, not everybody is a certified fraud examiner, but she's so good and she has such a sense of civic duty that she goes there and she tells them things, and
Mm.
well, at times nobody listens. Right? So between her and us, we know exactly what's going on. We know where the park is, we know where the pay to play is, we know where the waste is, right? And my training as a real estate broker in the real estate sector, we certainly have a higher standard, because when we have a transaction and if something is not right and something needs to be fixed, we need 100% result, 100% positive result. Well, in the city, majority rules, right? And the minority loses, right? So for every transaction, we have to listen. We have to logically figure out what the discrepancy are, what the problems are, and bring everybody from different backgrounds, from different station in life, from different motives. We have to bring everybody to the table and then say, okay, how are we going to solve this issue? How can we all 100% agree and everybody signs off and everybody's happy, right? So we do that over and over and over all the time. And through the years, we have been involved in billions of dollars, right? So with that kind of a history, wouldn't you think that we are capable of managing the city, right? We certainly have a lot of good workers in the city. There's no doubt about that. And our city workers, all they want to do is do a good job, right? So as mayor, I think they will be very happy with me because I will not be asking them to do things that they are not comfortable of doing. I will not be asking them to stonewall the residents or the public. This is a public office. This is an office for the people. This is an office for the public good. This is an office for public interest. So I will be a very open and transparent mayor. And if we have problems with the budget, we'll tell you, And if you have questions and you think that this budget is not being used wisely, let me know. We'll fix it. But I certainly feel that with my real estate background, it is really also going to come in use with not just the fact that we can solve problems with 100% rate, right? It is also the fact that I know what's going on at the city hall with the houseless issue. I know what's going on with the affordable issues. I certainly want to go in there and fix it. Having said that, I will still work with all the developers. I will still work with all the nonprofit groups, anybody who's interested, because that's the job of a mayor, to be open, right? To listen to everybody's ideas. Because I always feel that when you come to a decision making, you always come to a better decision making if you have diverse opinions. So I'm always open, but my real estate background will come in really useful. I mean, I'm polite enough to not name instances or not name projects, but there are many, many things that we can improve so that we can better serve our residents, and to make sure that there's a balance between development and the infrastructure and the traffic and our water capability. I mean, all this thing has to come in play. We just cannot allow just one special interest group, the builders or the developers or the venture capitalists, to just control this island. It cannot work that way. We have to keep going back to the idea that we are a small island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and we need to protect our resources, and we need to make sure that we are sustainable in every way.
Thank you for that response. You actually touched upon it in that last response, but this question is kind of going with your campaign. You're very vocal on your social media pages, and even on your website, you don't accept donations from lobbyists or PACs, which you're very vocal about. You even have your cell phone number on there. So why do you think transparency is so important in government?
Oh, you know what? To me, that is the foundation of a good government. If you remember history, the first thing that tyrants do when they conquer, just like when the Nazis came and invade, or when big empires come and conquer, first thing they do is they burn records.
Mm.
They burn records, they burn books, they burn records so that they can erase the record of a people, the history of the people. So I am all for free press, for free speech. And so that's why I'm so proud of you for doing this podcast. We want to invite more people to do what you're doing, and maybe you can mentor them and train them. Um, but it has to be open. It has to be open. And for years, in my activism, in my participation, we all know that there is an oligarchy and that they control just for everything, right? Your money, well, yeah, in a sense, our money because it's taxpayers' money, right? So they control the money, they control the power, right? They control the decision making. They tell us where to go and what is good and what is bad. A lot of time without any input from the most affected people. And so that openness is important. And I specifically do not want to accept any donations from lobbies and PACs because I resent the fact that so many of our campaign elections now are bought by money. And so when we put candidates in that situation, those of us who are on the outside, we're certainly not happy about that, because we have seen, even with politicians inside, you can almost guess who they're going to vote or how they're going to vote by the donations they receive, right? So that to me is an undemocratic thing to do. And I want to be on the good side of history.
Mm.
I want to fight for what is Pono. I want to fight for our residents. And that is basically the reason why I do not want to accept any lobbies and donations. Because you know what? People don't give you money for nothing, right? They don't give you money. I mean, yeah, $20, my donations from people, and I actually am not asking because COVID is causing such a big burden on our people, right? But people who give $20, $10, $15, no big deal. But people who are giving you 100,000 combined, it's a big deal. They're not giving money for free, even though I recognize that they have the money they can give to anybody they want, right? But there have actually been many cases. For example, we just now have the Coral Reach development that's beginning to take form. And we were fighting against that, not because we're against housing, but it was because we felt that we couldn't continue to give up agricultural lands. And we also knew that all this development is really not for the local people. So just a few days ago, there was a big spread in the Star Advertiser, and it's like, when you put a big spread like that, it's like 20,000 a pop, right? So I was looking through that, and the cheapest home in that phase is 884,000. Like, come on, who can afford that except people who really don't need this housing, because they could have gone out to the open market and buy, right? And then what was interesting was a Silver Beat had just done a piece on one of our city council members who happened to be running, and so I totally feel open to talk about her record, because she says that she's the only one in the city council. I said, well, good. Then we're going to talk about your record as the city council. During those 2 years, during the Ho'opili and the Coral Ridge process that was going through, she alone collected 160,000 in donations from the Coral Ridge and the Ho'opili affiliates. And then she told Silverbit that, oh, votes don't influence me. I said, oh, really? You voted yes for those two? And votes don't influence me, and it's 160,000. Of course, based on her record, that's not the only donations that they have collected. So things like this, makes a difference. And if there's any way that we can somehow control the campaign donations, that would be great, because it shouldn't be that those who are going to get lots and loads and tons of money are going to be able to advertise, everywhere, bombard the public with a lot of ads so that they can be heard and they can be seen. So yeah, I am all for controlling that. But again, I just cannot in good conscience, because I have been criticizing the process of big money controlling elections for so long. I just cannot turn around and say, okay, guys, I've changed my mind. Just give me the money so that I can compete, right?
Mhm. Oh, thank you, Choon, for that response. All right, so we're gonna head into our second portion where it's kind of like the debates, but since it's only one-on-one like this, I'll be asking 5 questions, and you'll have 2 minutes to respond to each question. And you'll hear a nice tone at 2 minutes.
Good,
um,
good, good. Oh, yeah, give me a little heads up.
and if you, oh, I'll have a timer, so let me share my screen real quick. Um, if you can see this, give me a thumbs up.
Yeah, yeah, I can.
Cool. So
Oh, you're good. You're good.
if at any time you decide that you answered the question and you're satisfied with it and it's before the 2 minutes, you can always give me a thumbs up and I'll know that
Okay.
you're good to go. Okay, so we'll start off with the first question, which is, what is one way we can diversify our economy outside of tourism?
Right. In a sense, COVID-19 has given us a wonderful opportunity to get back to basics and to question ourselves. We have for years said that we cannot put our tourism as the only main basket for our economy. We've been talking about diversifying. I mean, even if you buy stocks, you diversify. I mean, everything is about diversification to even out your risk, right? And there are so many ways of doing it. Actually, many of our residents are already doing it. Many are diversifying, many are in the digital business, in the film business, uh, in the IT business, and farming. Pretty much, the way I look at the sky is the limit. And as mayor, I don't think that it's my job to tell you guys what to do, right? You all have your own inclinations, you have your own ideas, you do whatever you want to do. My job as a mayor is to make sure that I control the city budget so well that I don't keep imposing fees on you, that I don't keep imposing taxes on you, so that you can enjoy the fruits of your labor, that you can do that and know that we are backing you up. And I certainly want to create a pro-business, pro-enterprise, pro-entrepreneurship. I myself am a small business woman for 30 years, so I know what it's like to run a business. And I certainly would love the government not to keep piling taxes on me again and again.
All right. Were you good with that response?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay, cool. I wasn't sure if you were done or not.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we'll go on to the next question, which is, will climate action be a top priority when you take office? Why or why not?
Okay, I have been an environmentalist all my life. We need to realize that we human beings are just part of the life cycle, that we are just part of the ecosystem. And I'm actually concerned. Like candidates like Keith Amamiya keeps on saying that climate change is a crisis of our generation. Fine. The thing is that the Honolulu Rail, the route from Middle Street to Ala Moana is going to be in the sea level rise in the nation zone. And that itself is part of the climate change conversation. But Keith also said that he is going to finish the rail from Middle Street to Ala Moana. So I'm saying, wait a minute here. You can't have it both ways. If you are saying that the climate change is the crisis of our lifetime, then you just cannot ignore the fact that we should not be pouring billions and billions more into the Honolulu Rail route from Middle Street to Ala Moana, because it is in the Honolulu sea level rise in the nation zone. So those are the public policies that we need to talk about. Certainly we need to prepare, and our climate change office is doing a good job. We need to coordinate with more departments. We need to talk it up. And what I would certainly like to do is see more coordination between the Department of Planning and Permitting and the climate change office, and also the fact that with the disasters prepared program, we need to prepare, we need to get us off the shores.
All right, next question. What is the most challenging part of budgeting for you?
I don't think there should be any challenging part in budgeting. I know how to say no, and I know how to say sorry, and I know how to say not this year, but maybe next year. The bottom line for a mayor is that cities fall and cities rise based on its management skills and based on its fiscal management skills. And like I told you, I have been observing and analyzing the city budget for, at least 12 years with my good friend, Natalie Iwasa, who is a CPA, who is a CFE. I couldn't find a better partner. And she's also very straightforward. I mean, it's black and white, and just a wonderful person to have at any government. And so with our budget, we just have to make sure that there's no pork, make sure that there is no pay to play, and make sure that there's no waste. And it's going to be way easier for me than any of the other 5 candidates, because I do not accept donations from anybody. I don't owe anybody anything. And so I will not feel pressure. And having said that, I'm not against, any development or any projects. If a project is good, let's talk about it. If a project is not good, it doesn't matter how much you donate to me, that project is still no good. So I would prefer that you pay those donations to your workers. Go set up scholarships for their children. Whatever it is, my office will be very strict on management, fiscal management.
Thank you for that answer. So the next question is, what will you do in the first 90 days if elected as mayor?
In the first 90 days as mayor, one of the first thing I would do is we need to have a potluck dinner, invite everybody down to Honolulu. We need to invite the FTA, the Federal Transit Administration, to come down to Honolulu to effectuate stopping rail at Middle Street. FTA is not a monster that we should fear. We need to invite them to come and help us make that happen. The other things I would do is, obviously I will meet with all the people as much as I can who work in the city, to let them know that I want to help them. I want their working conditions to be happy and to be productive. And that if there's any time they need to talk to me, I will be open. I will have an open door. And I will also set up a whistleblowing hotline, a whistleblower hotline, so that if any public person or any city personnel has any concerns, they can feel that they can come and um, check and express their concerns without any fear of repercussion and without any fear of retaliation. It will be an open government. I will talk to anybody. I will work with everybody. And I will even list down the names and the people that I meet with at the end of each week on the mayor's website. So it will be an open, ethical, very friendly, and you can come see us anytime and we will listen to you. I believe in diversification of thoughts and ideas.
All right, thank you for that response. Last question. What is more important, acting in response to the will of the people or acting in the way city officials believe is the best course of action?
Oh, that's an easy answer. My campaign theme is residents first. You know, I believe that our people out there, those who have been in the trenches and those who have lived here for generations and those who have skills, they all should be heard. You know, this is actually part of the environmental review process, that anytime you do something, you do a project, you know, whether it's private or public, that you need to go through the consulting process. You ask the people, right? You know, it makes no sense for the city to keep hiring consultants from Boston for 1.2 million here and hiring consultants from here and there. They don't know what the heck is going on. I mean, they cannot even pronounce Lua Lua Le, you know, for all it matters, or Kane Oe. You know, we really need to be pragmatic, and we really need to put our residents first, because that's my job as a mayor. My job is to make sure that I promote your happiness, I promote your welfare, and I promote your opportunities. I promote your prosperity and make sure that we do it in a sustainable way for now and for our future. And where else is better than to work with our residents? I never like those top heavy type. So many candidates are coming out. Oh, I have a plan for this. I have a plan for that. You know, this. I said, rip it all up, tear it all up. Let's start from the grounds up. Let's start from the grassroots, because that is where the wisdom, the experience, and they're free. So let's start from there and put residents first.
All right. And before we start ending off, one more question. So I always ask this question to all my guests, which is, what does talk story mean to you? The phrase talk story, what does that mean to you?
Great. You know, talk story is what it should be. Talk story is what should be. I grew up in a family where I have a Buddhist, I have a Methodist, I have a Catholic, I have a father who's an atheist, I have a mom who is a Buddhist and Taoist. And so even then, you know, and my childhood friends are Muslims and Hindu, Tamils. And so we are always open and we're always talking. You know, I am very comfortable talking with people whose ideas are very foreign from me. It is so important nowadays, you know, it seems that we get all boxed in, right? We think that, okay, if that person who does not think like me or who does not look like me, that person is against me. That's a very dangerous mindset to have. Or if you're not for me, you're against me, you know. Those type of very low level thinking and mindset. We have got to change that, because a society is made of very diverse person. We are all have the right to enjoy our civil rights. We have a right to free speech. We have a right to dialogue. And we certainly have the right to conscience, free conscience, and the right to join whatever, groups and clubs we want, as long as it's not violent. As long as it's not violent or hurtful to other people, we have to take that route, because that is a healthy route. And especially, I'm of the firm mind that anytime we make a decision, I really like to have diverse thoughts and diverse reactions, because then we can filter through all the different ideas, all the different thoughts, no matter how contradictory it is. That kind of a process makes a better decision making in the end. And yeah, so talk story, that's all what it's all about, We can disagree and we can still be friends, right? We can have different opinions and we can still be civil. So I am so proud of you. I'm so proud that you're doing it, because that has got to be a basis. I mean, even in our family, right? We all don't think alike. We all don't like the same food, right? We all have our own different quirks and differences, but we still get together, right? So that's how it should be as Oahu, that we can all get along, and it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican, or if you're young or old, or you're unionized or not, or you're military or civilian, rich or poor. We all can get along. We can all respect each other. And it's even more important because we live in a very teeny island in the middle of nowhere. And I have been so lucky. So many of our people are so wonderful. Throughout my life, career, and time, I have had friends from all over the world. And we get along. We respect each other. We get along well because we enjoy each other on the very basis that we are human beings. And even though we may not agree all the time, we still love each other and we still respect each other, and we always treat each other civilly and cordially.
Once again, Choon, thank you for joining us here. And if anybody wants to reach out to you, how can they reach out to you? What's some website they can go
Right,
to?
thank you. If they can go to votechoon.com, VOTECHOON.com, and I will be happy to chat with you folks and get any ideas. And may I end, this is a really historic time. I mean, no one ever thought that COVID-19 would happen. So I know that many of you folks are suffering. I know that many have lost their jobs or have family members who have lost their jobs. And some are worried about where the next meal is coming from, or how are they going to pay for their car payments, or mom and dad are worried about mortgage payments or rents and this and that. I just say, hang in there, hang in there. And if you're ever in a situation where you feel like, oh my goodness, my life is just falling apart and there's no hope, please don't feel that way. Please know, please realize that there will always be the people who will help you. Reach out. Don't just keep everything to yourself and don't let anybody know. Just reach out, talk to your brother, talk to your sister, talk to your mom or your dad or your grandpa. Reach out, because there is always hope. And I always want you to choose courage over fear, choose faith over fear. And 5 years from now, we're all going to look at this horrible thing and say, hey, we all got through it. We all got through it and we survived. So take care, and take good care of yourself.
Awesome. Thank you again, Choon, for joining us and sharing your heart for your whole campaign. Good luck to you. And for everyone listening out there, please remember to vote. Thank you guys for tuning in, and hope you guys have a great day.